Hello, this is Roland James and Landon with Life Media, and today what we're going to do is talk about staining. So what I have with me right now are all the materials that you would need to get started on a project such as this. This dresser is something I found secondhand on your local social media website. It's actually a very nice piece of furniture. It's made by Herein, which is manufactured in Harrison, Arkansas. It's solid wood, and I only picked it up for $45. Now I could have gone to your local big name brand box store and probably picked up some kind of cheap dresser made out of particle board or something like that for more than $45, but why would you do that when you could pick up something like this? This particular dresser, if I were to buy brand new, would cost in the hundreds of dollars. So it was a good deal. However, it did need some work. So when I first picked up this dresser, it had a lot of scratches, a lot of nicks, a really rough finish. And as you can see now, it's been taken down to its raw wood. If you'd like to see or understand how I did that process, you can take a look at the video down below where I talk about a specific sander and how I took this down to the bare wood. Now let's go ahead and start going over the different materials that we're going to need. Okay, so what you're going to want is some rags. These are going to be used to not only apply the stain but also to remove the excess. You're going to want some kind of container to put some of the stain into so it's easier access. You're going to want preferably a rubber mallet. If you don't have a rubber mallet, you could use just a regular hammer, and that's for the lids. That way when you take them off with the screwdriver that you're going to need, you can put it back on and get a nice seal. Now another thing you're going to want to do is have some gloves. This is because the stain, if it gets on your hands, is going to be very difficult to get off. Okay, so you just want to kind of protect yourself there. Optional is a poly top coat. Now it's not necessary to use this product, but in this case with my son, I feel like this is going to get some pretty good use, and I kind of want to do just an extra layer of protection. So I'm thinking after we do the stain, then I'm probably going to go ahead and put a protective top coat on it. This particular poly is a water-based, and when using the top coat, what you want to do is probably use one of these sponge brushes, which is why I have these as well as part of the materials that you might need. But again, this is optional. If you just wish to leave the stain as it is, if you like it, that's perfectly fine as well. Okay, so now we're going to start moving on to the actual application process. Now, when actually using the stain, what you want to do is take some extra precautions. So what I have here is just some old cardboard used up from a shipment from Amazon. Cut out a piece, put it down, that way I don't accidentally spill or get some of the stain on my flooring. Things I neglected to mention in the first part of this video is that you're also going to need something to mix it with. Now these stains aren't like paint. You don't shake them around because you'll get bubbles in it, and that's something you don't want to show up in your furniture. So you have to actually mix it and do it in a gentle mix. You just want to do it to where you see the actual stains start to get more smooth, and you'll be able to tell when it's kind of ready. You'll get a nice smooth consistency to it, and then you're ready to start applying. Now what we have here is our screwdriver. Okay, we're going to open up our can here, and let me go ahead and explain what kind of stain I'm actually using. This one's a Minwax. It's a gel stain versus an oil-based stain. I actually had some trouble finding this particular type of stain. I went to my local hardware stores, couldn't find the gel. I found a lot of oil-based, but I wanted something a little bit darker to better match my son's room and his furniture that he already has in there. So I had to actually order this one online as well from Amazon. And this particular finish is a coffee color. If you're looking for something darker, I would recommend a gel. It's going to come out a little bit darker. You're going to want to go with something that has a coffee type of name. I've seen some that say Java. anything like that, is gonna be indication that this is gonna be a bit of a darker stain. Okay. Now it says that it's easy to use. It's a non-drip formula, ideal for vertical surfaces, which will be good here. Okay. It's good for wood, veneer, fiberglass, and more. So this is a pretty good stain to use on various applications. Now let's go ahead and get to opening our actual can here. So what you want to do is just kind of go around, loosen up the top. So you can see it's already loosening up. There you go. So you can see there, pretty dark. Okay. Get my mixing stick, kind of tilt it over just a little bit so you can see, hopefully. Don't want to get it poured out on the floor. So I'm going to go ahead and start mixing. As you can see, pretty thick. Okay. You want to start mixing it up so that thickness starts to become a little more smooth and consistent. Again, do not shake these cans. It's not like paint. Air bubbles are the enemy here. You do not want to get air bubbles in your stain. Now staining is a different process than paint. It's a little more time consuming. If you're not the type that wants to go through various steps and have some wait times for second coats like you have to do with staining, then your option might want to go ahead and move to just regular paint. However, since this is a real wood piece of furniture, and once I started taking it down to its bare raw wood, I saw how nice it was, so I smoothed it out as best I could, and I decided, you know, I'm going to bring out the colors and the features of this beautiful wood here. So I decided to go ahead and go those extra steps and went with a stain. So now I'm mixing here. It's getting nice and smooth. Okay. I think we're about good to go. Alright, so now we're going to start moving on to the actual application. Now, before we actually start placing the stain on our piece of furniture here, I'm going to go ahead and go over some quick steps that you do need to make sure you go through before you actually start applying the stain. So what you're going to want to do first is make sure that the surface is as clean and free of debris as possible. So you're going to want to get a nice rag here. I kind of already started, as you can see. You may not see it with the naked eye, but it is there. So you do want to take off as much as you can. Wipe it down very, very good. Okay. Now, if you're not sure about a particular stain or a color that you want, when you're at the hardware store, you can actually get a small bottle of stain and do a test run on it. So in this particular case, I want it dark, so I'm getting something as dark as I can, so I know that's what I want, so I don't have to really worry too much about that. But if you're not too sure how it's going to come out, what you can do is apply a small amount of the stain on the back of, say, one of the actual drawers to get an idea of what the color is going to look like. Because every wood's different, every stain is just a little bit different, so it's really hard to tell, you know, what kind of color you're going to actually get, especially if you're the type that's looking for more of a light stain. But again, in this case, I'm looking for the darkest stain possible, so we should be okay. Okay, so as you can see, me and my son are wiping this thing down as best we can. Okay. Alright. And you're going to want to do this to the entire dresser or piece of furniture that you're using. Okay. Alright. Now, when it actually starts getting time to stain the wood, what you want to do is do your best to go with the grain. Like in this case, we have some grain going this way. So let's say I had the cloth, I dipped some of the stain in it. what you want to do is go with the grain. Okay, there's going to be some areas that have various grains, but it's good practice to try and go at least in one direction. Okay, this isn't like paint where you're kind of going back and forth like that. You just want to go in one seamless direction. That way you get nice consistent color. Okay, so one quick tip there before we get going. So Landon, when placing the stain, what direction do you need to go?
With the grain.
With the grain, very good. Okay guys, now that we have our surface nice and clean, let's go ahead and get started with the actual staining process. Okay guys, now that we have our surface nice and clean, ready to go, and it's time to actually apply the stain. As I mentioned before, you want to go ahead and do the stain in the direction of the actual grains, okay? Since I have my son here, he's going to be helping me out. We're going to make things even simpler. So what we're going to do, Landon, is we're going to take the stain and we're going to go in this direction, okay? From this side to that side, not in circular motions, but up and down. So how are we going to do it?
Up and down.
Up and down, very good. To make things a little easier, what I ended up doing was pouring some of the stain inside just a spare plastic container I had. And now let's go ahead and get started. So what we're going to do, we're going to dip in the stain and we're going to start the process. So I'll start on this corner and my son is going to start on the opposite corner. So all you're going to do, just do like I'm doing. Roll up. You're going to want to roll the stain up. Nope. Roll it up. Like this. Roll it up. Okay. Dip it in there. Nope. Roll it up. Roll it up. And dip it in. Okay.
I'm going to roll it up.
Just like I have. Now this process is not something that I would consider easy to do. Like this. Roll it up. Fold it. Fold it. Just fold it. So what you want to do is you want to stain a section at a time. Okay? What we're going to do right now is just the top part. Okay.
Like this?
Yeah, that's better. Okay. Here, take this one, and I'll take that one. Okay. Here, grab this one. Okay. Start staining your side. Here.
Let them stain on my finger.
Well, something that might happen. Okay. So you want to kind of go through it quickly. Try not to let it clump and get too many stray marks. Up and down. Nope, up and down. Okay, dip it again. You're dipping and applying.
Do you hear that?
Yep. You'll have to excuse the noise on the outside. We do have an open garage right now. One direction.
Why is it black?
It goes on dark right now. And as it dries, it'll stain up. Okay. Go and try to move quicker. Up and down, up and down. Or get this corner on your side. Okay, just go up and down. Up and down. Up and down. Try not to get this on me. Very close.
What about me?
Catch up. Okay, like this. Up and down. Up and down. Up and down. Not in swirls, not in circles. Up and down.
What about over here?
We're not going to do that yet. Go ahead and put your rag down
Where?
on the cardboard.
Just look at me, I'm a mess.
Yeah, this is messy. Now, what you want to do is let the stain sit for about 2 to 3 minutes according to Minwax, and then you're going to take a clean piece of cloth and start wiping down all the excess. Okay, now that the stain has some time to dry, it's time to start wiping off all the excess. Okay, so you get a clean piece of cloth, start wiping all the excess down. You're going to be left with that top layer stain. Okay. Now you're going to want to use the same type of process for the rest of the dresser.